Ladies and gentlemen, I want to challenge you today with something that may feel uncomfortable at first. You've been taught to be nice, right? From the time you could walk and talk, you've heard, be nice, play nice, don't make waves. But I want to ask you, what if being nice isn't the best thing for you anymore? What if it's time to stop being nice? Niceness and people-pleasing may seem similar on the surface, but they are fundamentally different in how they affect our lives and relationships. True niceness comes from a place of genuine care, compassion, and respect, while people-pleasing is rooted in insecurity and the desire to gain approval from others, often at the expense of our own needs and values. True niceness is driven by authenticity and an inner sense of kindness. It is the act of showing compassion, empathy, and understanding toward others without expecting anything in return. When we are truly nice, we are considerate of others' feelings, and we genuinely want to make them feel valued. This kind of kindness doesn't seek validation or recognition. It simply desires to contribute positively to the world around us. It is a reflection of our character, not a means to manipulate a situation or gain favor. People-pleasing, on the other hand, is a behavior that stems from a deeper insecurity or fear of rejection. It arises when we feel that our worth is tied to the approval of others, and we go out of our way to ensure others are happy, even if it means sacrificing our own well-being. People pleasers often say yes when they want to say no, take on responsibilities they can't handle, and suppress their own opinions to avoid conflict. The primary motivation behind people pleasing is the belief that if others are happy, we will be accepted and loved. The problem is, this approach leads to burnout, resentment, and the eventual realization that we have neglected our own needs and desires in the process. True niceness, therefore, is not about constantly saying yes or trying to be everything to everyone. It is about maintaining healthy boundaries while still being compassionate and caring. It means knowing when to offer help, when to listen, and when to support someone, but also recognizing when to step back and prioritize your own needs. True niceness doesn't require you to lose yourself in the process of helping others. It is about showing up in a way that is sustainable for both you and the people you care about. People-pleasing, however, is often an unconscious habit. It can come from a deep-seated fear of conflict or rejection, or a learned behavior from childhood where we were taught that our value is determined by how much we do for others. Over time, this mindset can lead to a pattern of self-sacrifice that feels unfulfilling and emotionally draining. People pleasers may also have difficulty setting boundaries because they fear disappointing others, even if it means compromising their own health, happiness, or time. The difference between true niceness and people-pleasing lies in the motivations behind the actions. True niceness is selfless, but it is also balanced and mindful of one's own well-being. People-pleasing, on the other hand, is driven by the need to secure approval and avoid rejection, often resulting in a loss of personal integrity. While both behaviors may look similar on the surface, they come from entirely different places. One is rooted in genuine care and love, while the other is born from insecurity and fear. When we practice true niceness, we do so out of a place of strength and self-assurance. We give without expecting anything in return because we are comfortable in our own skin. People pleasers, however, may give and give, but their actions are fueled by an underlying desire to be liked, seen, and valued by others. This creates an imbalance where the people pleaser's needs are often ignored in the process. Ultimately, the goal is to practice kindness and compassion without the burden of needing to be liked by everyone. It's important to recognize when we are falling into the trap of people-pleasing and to shift our mindset toward true niceness. By doing so, we honor both ourselves and others in a way that fosters healthy, fulfilling relationships. Authenticity is one of the most powerful qualities a person can possess. It is the act of being true to oneself, regardless of external expectations, pressures, or societal norms. In a world where it's easy to wear masks and conform to others' ideas of who we should be, authenticity stands as a radical act of courage and self-respect. It means embracing who you are with all your flaws and strengths and showing up as your true self without the need for validation or approval from others. The power of authenticity comes from its ability to create genuine connections with others. When we are authentic, we invite others to do the same. People can sense when someone is being real, and this fosters trust and openness. Genuine relationships are built on honesty, transparency, and mutual understanding. Things that are only possible when we are willing to be vulnerable and real with one another. In contrast, when we wear a mask or try to be something we're not, we create a barrier between ourselves and others. We become disconnected from those around us because we are not showing our true selves. Authenticity also brings a sense of inner peace and confidence. When we live authentically, we are no longer at war with ourselves. We stop pretending to be someone we are not, and we begin to align our actions with our values, beliefs, and passions. This alignment between who we are and how we live gives us a deep sense of fulfillment and purpose. We are no longer chasing external validation or trying to fit into someone else's mold. Instead, we can focus on what truly matters to us and pursue goals that are meaningful and aligned with our true self. However, embracing authenticity is not always easy. In a culture that often prioritizes image, success, and conformity, being authentic can feel risky. We may fear judgment, rejection, or not measuring up to societal standards. The pressure to conform can be overwhelming, especially when we see others around us striving for perfection or living up to certain expectations. But this pressure to conform only serves to stifle our true potential and creativity. When we try to be someone we're not, we limit ourselves to what we think is acceptable or safe, rather than exploring the full scope of who we could be. Authenticity also empowers us to take ownership of our lives. When we stop pretending to be someone else, we begin to make choices that are truly ours. This freedom to make decisions based on our values, desires, and passions leads to greater self-determination. We stop seeking approval from others and instead trust ourselves to make the right choices. This shift in mindset allows us to pursue our dreams, take risks, and embrace the challenges that come with living an authentic life. Moreover, authenticity has the power to inspire others. When we are true to ourselves, we give others the permission to do the same. We become examples of courage, vulnerability, and self-acceptance. In a world where many people struggle with self-doubt and insecurity, seeing someone embrace their authentic self can be a source of strength and motivation for others. It creates a ripple effect where more and more people begin to break free from the confines of societal expectations and embrace their own unique identities. But perhaps the most profound power of authenticity is its ability to bring us closer to our purpose. When we are authentic, we are in tune with who we are meant to be, and we can pursue the life we were truly designed to live. Our authenticity acts as a guiding force, helping us to navigate the ups and downs of life with clarity and conviction. We are no longer distracted by the opinions of others or the fear of being judged. Instead, we are driven by our own truth, and this focus propels us toward our goals with confidence and passion. in a world that constantly tries to pull us in different directions. The power of authenticity lies in our ability to stand firm in who we are. It requires us to embrace our uniqueness, to honor our values, and to trust ourselves. When we choose to live authentically, we unlock the full potential of who we are meant to be. Standing firm in your convictions is an essential aspect of living a life of purpose, integrity, and authenticity. Convictions are the deeply held beliefs and principles that guide our actions, decisions, and interactions with others. They are not mere opinions or fleeting thoughts. They are foundational to who we are and what we stand for. To stand firm in your convictions means that you remain true to these beliefs, no matter the external pressure, temptation, or challenge. It means that you are unwavering in the face of adversity and are committed to living a life aligned with your values. One of the most important aspects of standing firm in your convictions is knowing what those convictions are. It is easy to be swayed by popular opinion, societal trends, or the expectations of others, but to live with conviction, you must first have clarity about your beliefs. This clarity requires self-reflection and introspection, asking yourself what truly matters to you, what you stand for, and what principles you are unwilling to compromise. These convictions are often shaped by your experiences, your faith, your values, and your understanding of the world. They become the lens through which you view the world and make decisions. However, having strong convictions is not enough on its own. To stand firm in those convictions requires courage. It takes courage to speak up for what you believe in, especially when it goes against the grain or challenges the status quo. People will often try to convince you to change your views or adopt a different perspective, especially when your beliefs are unpopular or controversial. The pressure to conform can be intense, but standing firm in your convictions means that you do not bend to these external pressures. You remain committed to your principles because you understand that compromising them would mean compromising yourself. Courage is also necessary when your convictions lead to difficult choices or uncomfortable situations. There will be times when standing firm in your convictions requires you to take a stand, even if it means facing criticism, rejection, or isolation. In a world that values conformity, standing out can be intimidating. But those who are willing to stand firm in their convictions are the ones who ultimately make a difference. They are the leaders, the trailblazers, and the ones who change the course of history. It is not always easy, but it is always worth it. Standing firm in your convictions also means being consistent. Convictions are not meant to be held only when it is convenient or when others are watching. They are meant to be lived out every day in every situation. This consistency is what builds trust and credibility. People can tell when your actions align with your beliefs, and they respect you for your integrity. If you constantly waver in your convictions or change your beliefs to fit the circumstances, you lose the foundation that makes you who you are. Consistency in your convictions is what enables you to navigate the challenges of life with clarity and conviction. It is also important to recognize that standing firm in your convictions does not mean being rigid or inflexible. While your core beliefs should remain steadfast, standing firm in your convictions also involves being open-minded and willing to grow. Life is a journey, and our understanding of the world and ourselves evolves over time. True conviction is not about stubbornness or refusing to learn. It is about holding on to your core values while being open to new perspectives and growth. It is about maintaining your integrity while allowing space for personal development and learning. Moreover, standing firm in your convictions can inspire others to do the same. When you are unapologetically true to your beliefs, you become an example for others to follow. Your strength and commitment can encourage those around you to examine their own convictions and stand firm in them as well. In a world that often pressures people to compromise their values, those who stand firm in their convictions offer a beacon of light and hope. Ultimately, standing firm in your convictions is a choice you make every day. It requires self-awareness, courage, consistency, and the willingness to stand up for what you believe in no matter the cost. It is not always easy, but it is the only way to live a life of true authenticity and integrity. When you stand firm in your convictions, you not only honor yourself, but also inspire others to do the same. It is through this unwavering commitment to our beliefs that we create a world where values matter and authenticity thrives. Saying no is one of the most powerful and important acts of self-respect we can engage in, yet it is often one of the hardest. In a world that constantly demands our time, energy, and attention, we are often conditioned to believe that saying yes is the only way to be helpful, kind, or supportive. We fear disappointing others, facing confrontation, or being perceived as selfish. However, learning to say no is not just about rejecting requests or turning people down. It is about honoring our own boundaries, prioritizing our well-being, and protecting the space needed to live a balanced and fulfilling life. At its core, saying no is an act of self-preservation. Every time we say yes to something, we are saying no to something else. Saying yes to one person or commitment means we might be saying no to our own needs, desires, or time. If we continually stretch ourselves thin by overcommitting, we risk burnout, stress, and resentment. Saying no is a way of reclaiming control over our time and energy. It allows us to evaluate what truly aligns with our values, goals, and emotional capacity, and gives us the space to nurture our own needs. One of the key reasons saying no is such an act of self-respect is because it allows us to honor our personal boundaries. Boundaries are an essential part of maintaining healthy relationships, yet many of us struggle to set them. We may feel guilty for declining a request or feel pressured to say yes because we don't want to upset anyone. But without boundaries, we become overwhelmed and our own well-being takes a backseat to the needs of others. By learning to say no when necessary, we assert our right to protect our time, mental health, and emotional energy. It is a recognition that our needs are just as important as anyone else's, and it is not selfish to prioritize ourselves. Saying no also reflects a deeper understanding of our personal values and goals. It allows us to stay true to our convictions, even when it might be easier to give in. When we say yes to things that do not align with our values, we create internal conflict. We might feel frustrated, anxious, or even resentful because we are acting in a way that does not reflect who we truly are. On the other hand, saying no to things that don't serve our higher purpose or align with our priorities empowers us to live authentically. It helps us focus on what matters most and gives us the clarity to say yes to the things that will help us grow, thrive, and achieve our goals. Another important aspect of saying no is that it is a practice of self-confidence. It takes courage to decline a request or opportunity, especially when we fear that others may be upset or disappointed. However, each time we say no with conviction, we affirm our ability to make decisions that are best for us. We stop seeking external validation and learn to trust our own judgment. It is a powerful way of asserting our own voice and stepping into our own power. Saying no builds resilience and helps us develop the confidence to stand firm in our decisions, even when others may not understand or agree with us. Moreover, saying no fosters respect in our relationships. When we fail to set boundaries or consistently say yes out of a desire to please others, we can inadvertently create unhealthy dynamics. People may come to expect that we will always be available or that we will always say yes, which can lead to feelings of entitlement or resentment. By saying no when necessary, we establish a more balanced and respectful relationship with others. It teaches them that our time, energy, and attention are valuable and that we are not simply here to meet their every demand. Ultimately, this creates healthier, more respectful connections where both parties are mindful of each other's needs and boundaries. Finally, saying no is not just about rejecting things. It is also about creating space for the things that truly matter. Every no is an opportunity for a yes to something better, something more aligned with our values, passions, and long-term goals. When we say no to unnecessary distractions or obligations, we open up the possibility for new opportunities that better serve our personal growth, happiness, and fulfillment. It is through these intentional decisions that we create a life that is purposeful, balanced, and full of meaning. In a world that often prioritizes productivity and constant giving, saying no is a radical act of self-respect. It is an acknowledgement that our needs, desires, and time are valuable. By learning to say no, we protect our mental and emotional health, honor our boundaries, and create the space needed to live a life of authenticity and fulfillment. It is not an act of selfishness, but one of self-care and self-love. Boldness in leadership is not just a trait. It is a mindset that drives action, inspires change, and challenges the status quo. It is the courage to take risks, make difficult decisions, and stand up for what is right, even when it is unpopular or uncomfortable. Bold leaders are those who do not shrink back from challenges, but instead face them head on with confidence and conviction. They understand that true leadership is not about playing it safe, but about making impactful decisions that can transform organizations, communities, and even entire industries. At the heart of bold leadership is the ability to take calculated risks. Bold leaders recognize that in order to grow and innovate, they must step outside of their comfort zones. They are not afraid to make decisions that may initially seem daunting or uncertain because they understand that progress requires experimentation and failure. Risk-taking in leadership is not about recklessness, but about assessing potential opportunities and making informed choices that have the potential for significant rewards. Bold leaders are not satisfied with the status quo. They constantly look for new ways to improve, innovate, and lead their teams toward a brighter future. Boldness also requires a deep sense of conviction. Leaders who are bold in their actions are unwavering in their beliefs and values. They do not compromise their principles to fit in or please others. Instead, they lead with integrity, staying true to their vision even when it is difficult or unpopular. This unwavering commitment to their values provides clarity and direction, helping to guide them through the challenges they face. Bold leaders are not afraid to speak their truth, stand firm in their decisions, and take responsibility for their actions, regardless of the outcome. A bold leader is also someone who inspires others to take action. Boldness is contagious. When a leader demonstrates courage and conviction, it empowers others to do the same. Leaders who act with boldness create a culture of empowerment, where team members feel encouraged to take initiative, share their ideas, and challenge existing norms. Bold leaders do not micromanage. Instead, they trust their team and give them the freedom to innovate and make decisions. By leading with confidence and vision, bold leaders inspire others to push beyond their limits and reach their full potential. Moreover, bold leadership is essential in times of crisis. During challenging moments, a bold leader steps up to provide direction, reassurance, and a sense of purpose. In difficult circumstances, it can be easy to be paralyzed by fear or uncertainty. But bold leaders are those who act decisively and lead with a calm and clear head. They do not shy away from tough decisions, and they do not allow obstacles to derail their mission. Instead, they find creative solutions, make adjustments, and keep moving forward. This ability to lead in the face of adversity builds trust and loyalty among those they lead, as people are drawn to leaders who are confident and unshaken, even in turbulent times. Another critical aspect of boldness in leadership is the willingness to challenge the status quo. Bold leaders are not satisfied with how things have always been done. They question existing practices, challenge outdated systems, and seek new ways of thinking. This willingness to disrupt the norm can lead to breakthroughs and innovations that reshape industries and create new possibilities. Bold leaders are not afraid to be unpopular or face resistance because they understand that progress often requires change. Their vision and determination drive them to push boundaries and create a future that is more aligned with their values and goals. Additionally, bold leadership involves a high level of emotional intelligence. Bold leaders understand that their decisions and actions have an impact on the people around them. They are aware of the emotional climate within their teams and strive to create an environment where individuals feel supported and valued. While boldness may sometimes require tough decisions, bold leaders use their emotional intelligence to navigate complex situations with empathy and understanding. They know when to push forward and when to listen, when to challenge and when to support, ensuring that their bold actions lead to positive outcomes for both the organization and the people within it. Finally, boldness in leadership is about leaving a legacy. Bold leaders are not focused on short-term gains or immediate gratification. They are driven by a vision of long-term impact. They understand that their leadership will have lasting effects, and they make decisions with the future in mind. Whether it's shaping an organization, influencing a community, or leaving a mark on society, bold leaders take responsibility for their actions and strive to create something that will endure beyond their tenure. Their boldness is not just about achieving success today, but about laying the groundwork for success tomorrow. In a world that often rewards conformity and risk aversion, bold leadership stands out as a rare and invaluable quality. It is the difference between stagnation and growth, between mediocrity and excellence. Bold leaders inspire, innovate, and challenge the world around them. They are the ones who make things happen, who turn visions into reality, and who drive positive change for the betterment of all. The tension between God's calling and man's approval is one of the most profound struggles that individuals face in their journey of faith and purpose. It is a battle that tests our convictions, challenges our desires, and forces us to choose between living for the approval of others or staying true to the unique calling that God has placed on our lives. In this conflict, the question is not whether we seek approval. After all, it is natural to want to be accepted and valued, but whether we will prioritize the voice of God over the opinions of people. God's calling is a deeply personal and divine invitation to fulfill a purpose that transcends our own desires and ambitions. It is a calling that often requires sacrifice, courage, and the willingness to follow a path that may not be understood or accepted by those around us. This calling is not based on external validation, but is anchored in a deeper understanding of who we are in Christ and what He has designed us to do. It is not about fitting into societal norms or achieving worldly success. It is about aligning ourselves with God's will and walking in obedience to His plan for our lives. On the other hand, man's approval is often driven by the desire for recognition, validation, and acceptance from others. In a world where external success is frequently measured by popularity, social media influence, or public praise, the need for approval can become overwhelming. The desire to be liked, respected, and admired can lead individuals to compromise their values, conform to societal pressures, and pursue paths that may not align with their true calling. Seeking man's approval can sometimes lead us to make decisions based on fear of rejection or a desire to fit in rather than on a sense of purpose or divine direction. When we prioritize man's approval over God's calling, we risk losing sight of our true purpose. The pursuit of approval can lead to a life that is fragmented, focused on external achievements rather than internal fulfillment. We may find ourselves chasing after things that are fleeting or temporary, things that provide momentary satisfaction but fail to bring lasting peace and contentment. The approval of others can be inconsistent, easily swayed by public opinion or changing trends, leaving us in a constant state of striving for validation that never truly satisfies. Conversely, God's calling is unwavering and eternal. It does not shift based on circumstances or the approval of others. When we choose to follow God's call, we are invited into a deeper relationship with Him, one that brings fulfillment not because of external praise, but because of obedience to His will. God's calling equips us with everything we need to fulfill His purpose, even when the journey is difficult or misunderstood. It empowers us to rise above the noise of public opinion and to live with a sense of conviction that comes from knowing we are walking in alignment with our Creator's purpose for our lives. One of the challenges of pursuing God's calling is the potential for criticism or rejection from others. When we step out in faith and follow a path that may not make sense to those around us, we open ourselves up to misunderstanding, judgment, or even opposition. It takes boldness to follow God's direction when it leads us away from the approval of others and toward a path that may feel uncertain or unpopular. But it is in these moments that our faith is tested and our trust in God's plan is strengthened. Following God's calling often requires the courage to stand firm in our convictions, even when we face the pressure to conform to the expectations of others. The key to navigating the tension between God's calling and man's approval lies in knowing who we are in Christ. Our identity is not determined by the opinions of others, but by the truth of who God says we are. When we are grounded in this identity, we can make decisions with confidence, knowing that God's approval is the only one that ultimately matters. His calling is not based on performance or external validation. It is based on His love, grace, and purpose for our lives. In the end, choosing God's calling over man's approval leads to a life of purpose, fulfillment, and eternal significance. While man's approval can provide temporary validation, God's calling offers lasting fulfillment and the assurance that we are living in accordance with His will. When we prioritize His approval over that of others, we step into the fullness of our purpose and experience the joy and peace that come from walking in obedience to His voice.